publisher and CEO at CUInsight.com, and I am bringing you a 3 questions video interview today with a special guest, and we are talking about something that is really, really critical for credit unions right now. So joining me is Mark Majeske. He is the SVP of Faster Payments at Alacriti. We're talking about the FedNow Service and real-time payments, so important. Mark, thank you so much for being here.
Great, thank you, Lauren. Great to be here. Appreciate it.
Let's dive right in. You were part of the team that developed and launched the real-time payments network at the clearinghouse. Can you tell us how that prepared you to really work with the FedNow service?
Yeah, I think something we have to keep in mind, both RTP and FedNow are very similar systems and very complex systems at that. So it took enormous amount of, there's enormous amount of permutations in the systems, in combinations of features and functionality that need to be done. So these aren't something that are taken lightly in building. Very different between the two. RTP's core has been built from VocaLink from the UK. So we took an existing system and built on top of it. In fact, we added at TCH, we added additional features and functionality like messaging, like for instance, an RFP, the funding accounts. All of that had to be restructured because that wasn't done in the UK. So basically some of the benefits that we put into the product were actually shared with the UK and Singapore later. On the other hand, when you look at FedNow, built from the ground up, so very, very different because they literally were started at ground zero. So in having experience with RTP and building and launching that certainly helped to understand the application and make it easier for us and for me particularly to work with the Fed directly to design and build the FedNow network.
That is incredible and such a valuable experience to be able to bring to credit unions as well. And I know Alacriti has already had clients sending and receiving transactions on the FedNow service, even though at the time of this recording, it has just launched 5 days ago on the 20th. Have there been any lessons learned so far?
I think a lot. I think one is that, and very similar to your first question, at Alacriti, we were one of the first also to put in RTP and RTP send and receive. And so did that help us with FedNow? Absolutely. And lessons learned there was to get involved in a pilot as soon as possible. So credit unions, if they have the opportunity in anything new, right, I would encourage you to look at that because it really is a lot of learning that happens. Also, from our perspective, having been through that pilot, it helped us and working with our credit union partners to get up to speed very, very quickly and make it accurate and active on day one. One of the suggestions I'll have for other TPSPs or anyone looking at integrating FedNow would be lessons learned. Good communication with the Fed. Stay in touch because there's a lot of complexities, right? Communication with customers if you're a TPSP or if you have a credit union you're working with. And number 3, test. Extremely important.
I think test applies to almost everything that we do as credit unions. So it makes a ton of sense that that would be really critical in this piece as well.
Yeah.
Well, I know that there is some talk about the possibilities of instant payments and the visibility that they can give credit unions, but what can you tell us really specifically about monetization and operational efficiencies?
Yeah, I think there, in my mind, there are 2 beneficiaries of instant payments. One is, and I always start with a member, right? Look, members want to be able to transact whenever they like, 24/7, right? Credit unions do not have to be open during that time, right? Members want to be able to transact anytime, not just during open hours. Members can take advantage of expedited payroll opportunities that are currently out there, right? And so I always say, when you speak with your member, speak with them about what they want to do, not about instant payments, because they won't understand what RTP or FedNow is, right? But what people really want to do, members particularly, is to involve themselves in what makes their life easier. Is there an application that's going to get me my payroll 2 days earlier? That's not a bad thing. I don't think anyone would deny that. Flipping over to the actual credit union itself, I think there are a couple of items to mention. One is core integration. So for instance, you no longer have to use your core provider for instant payments. I know we at Alacriti, we have the ability to integrate with your core. And as a result, we can provide you with more capabilities than maybe a core provider can, but still have access to your core so that we could do the transactions on your behalf. So that's important to know. I think the other item is transaction monetization. So everyone wants to know, can I make money, or at least can I cover my costs, right? And I think if we look at other, and I'll use RTP as an example because it has some history. I think if you look at ACH, I think ACH has become the free option, but I think that members are looking to that expedited feature for FedNow in this case, that they're willing to pay for that. And I know for a fact in PayPal, customers are paying a fee to get their money from their PayPal account to their credit union account, and in an expedited manner, Saturday, Sunday, holidays. So they're willing to pay for that. In fact, the adoption rate on that is 70%. So it's a huge, adoption rate on a 4-fee product. So what I would urge credit unions to do is, don't be shy, right? That if you're offering something that's worthwhile, then members might be willing to pay for that. And minimally, if you're not going to make a profit on the transaction, at least cover your costs. There are some other operational saves. Instant payments can fit into your current process very easily, but you may have to look at your current process and see how you might have to slowly adopt it a bit. But the fact of the matter is, many credit unions are finding that adopting instant payments is not as difficult as they originally thought. In fact, most of them, when you look at the amount of resources, so everyone makes a very quick guess to say, oh, I'm probably going to have to add people. And that's not the case either. I've spoken with a number of credit unions that are saying, you know what, we didn't really have to add anyone. We just had to reconfigure how we do things. So credit unions can create new ways for members to transact instantly, right? And that's something that you should think about. It's not only what other banks and credit unions can offer your members, but what can you offer your members? And so, again, keep in touch with your member, talk to them, figure out what they want to do, and then work towards providing that.
I love what you said about really putting it in sort of the language that the end user, that the member will understand. To your point, real-time payments maybe don't mean much to them, but
right.
being able to get your paycheck early, being able to send money instantly does make a lot of sense to them. So I love that perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Mark, you've shared so many good insights today. As we wrap up the conversation, I'm curious, do you have any final thoughts for our audience or final asks of our viewers today?
I would say to really, I think now is the time to look at instant payments and to make a commitment to it. I think that, yes, it's challenging in the United States. We have 2 providers, right? And in most countries, they only have one. So I think you need to look through into that, but I think that each system and each process of going into that network is so well refined at this point that if you're waiting for to be a second or third adopter, now's the time to look at it. I think that you're going to start seeing a lot of volume in the system, a lot of applications, and this is something that you want your members to be able to utilize.
Amazing. Well, we are going to link to Mark's contact information and that of his team at Alacriti. It sounds like using a trusted industry partner like Alacriti could be a game changer in terms of you being able to adopt real-time payments as a credit union for your members. So Mark, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to link to your information here for everybody who's interested. And any other good ways for them to get in touch with you? Is email best?
I think email would be best. I'll be happy to receive them and respond.
Amazing. Well, we will link to that. Thank you so much for your time. And thank you to everyone who tuned in today for our latest in the 3 questions video interview series. We'll be back again next time.